Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Let me state this right quick. One of the things that's going on right now is that, all honesty, I am not angry when I record this, but I am going to say that I'll state for the record that a YouTuber named Abby and I do disagree on two things. She does not know that when I talk about the sisterhood and the hyenas and the wicked witches of the West, that I am very specific in my hatred. I hate Western aggressive feminists. I hate misandrists. I do not hate women that advocate for women's rights, although in the West these rights are there. I do hate women that even so much as lie to men about what women like in men. So you can understand how much I hate the outright aggressive feminists and misandrists. Yes, I hate them. I hate them from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind, because when I started to listen, I began to realize that, in all honesty, it's bad. It's real bad. It's bad, 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 bad. What they've done to me was bad, but what they've done to others is even worse. And they're doing this now to, I mean, there are guys in their 30s now that went through what I went through, but the guys in the 30s that went through this are the average guys and younger. They're average amongst men. Whereas for me, when I went through this, I was one of the few that was picked for some of the really bad treatment and the gaslighting and the lies. It wasn't because I was in the bottom as far as looks or handsomeness goes. It was because I was just last pick as far as looking because of looking ambiguous. I had the nerve to be, not only light skinned, but ambiguous looking after 1989. After all the other light skinned brothers had supposedly done to break women's hearts. So I had to pay for it. And I was expected to be happy paying for it, like I owed a debt or something. I want to state this too, if I may. Like she disagrees with me because she may not have been aware that my hatred was for a behavioral category of women, not black women. I disagree with what she says about dark-skinned black men being responsible for black women stereotyping lighter skin or MLS black men. I don't believe that darker-skinned black men could cause that. Now, I do believe that black boys in general, before adulthood, participated in this. I do. But adult black men of any complexion are not allowed to tell black women as a collective what to think about any black men. We've never been allowed to tell. And so therefore, I don't buy the narrative that any complexion of black adult men have actually started certain ideas amongst black women. I don't think so. See, when we black men become adults, we're not allowed to continue on with the notion or notions that you can determine how you can beat a man up just based on skin tone alone. We didn't think that way about white men. We didn't say that white men are born easy to beat up for us. It has to do with environment and upbringing. They have then begun to theorize that we are born with unfair advantages when it comes to whooping day asses in fistfights. They've come with these ideas. Now, I have noticed that in general, black, regardless of nationality, men have fought with speed and power. That we think of fighting differently. As a matter of fact, what I've seen is that Western European men with the Rocky movies and the action movies have generally thought of fights as being power punches, where you take turns slugging each other and you actually land your punches. Whereas, most other men in the world understand that in fighting, you should be strong and fast so that you are hit less. And when you do land a punch, that punch is more powerful. So even when it comes to white men, we didn't walk around saying that we can just whoop their behind naturally. Now, I've heard some say this more recently, but it took years before we said that. And many men of many different parts of the world don't really view fighting as a trade of hits per se. when it comes down to adulthood and Western black women, Western sisters, they're allowed to go into adulthood stereotyping black men based on skin complexion. And Abby, I'm aware, I know that you're aware of this because you've talked about it. Now, Abby, you asked 2 questions, and I want to try to do justice to the 2 questions, and I've gotten almost enough sleep, so that's why I'm recording this. This is not with rancor or hatred. Although I'm going to try to listen to some more to see if you said one thing about darker skinned black men being responsible for the stereotyping of MLS men, or if this is something that you have been saying all the time. And like, I'm going to listen to more to see if you just routinely beat up on darker skinned black men. I'm going to listen and see if that's really what's going on. But right now, before I go that far, I'm going to try to do justice to your 2 questions. 1, black women who do not stereotype MLS men and actually prefer them have to go about it some way, and you asked what that way would be. So I gave an initial preliminary answer. I've thought more about it, and I think that I can explain a bit more and be even more fair to your question. What I initially said still stands. MLS men are going to have to be pursued and validated just as much as unmixed brothers are. That's going to have to happen. I don't know if that can, for the most part. And that goes back actually to the second question you asked, but still on the first question, it has to happen. And so I'm saying that in order to, sorry, I got interrupted by a student, so I actually lost my train of thought in the middle of that sentence, but it may not be possible for the most part because of the second question, which is about the shaming. In order to get an MLS man, as long as you are also his type like he is yours, what really matters is going to be that he is equally validated. We know how the select brothers are validated, especially if they're select and they're dark skinned. We know how they're validated. Women are not shamed if they pursue these men, even chase these men, pay for these men. They're not really shamed for that. I mean, women could take care of these men and other women would not really shame them for it. They wouldn't be shamed. They can do that. And they can actually brag about, girl, I did this, that, and the other for that man. He ain't fit enough. But they're not going to be shamed for it because at the very least, the looks might justify why they did it. And so therefore, that has a lot to do with it. But the shame is the reason why it may not be able to happen. See, when you asked the question, I thought about it because I didn't really know what to say to the second question about the shame. And I'm going to give any of my audience members a chance to maybe give some advice regarding both how to get an MLS man and also how, and I'm going to say to members of the audience, if you decide to answer her, don't just disparage her. Because she's not walking around looking for, at least not with MLS men I know. She's not walking around looking for a fight. I'm not aware of her being a feminist or a misandrist yet. But the shame question. You ask, well, what do we do about the shaming? You're being shamed by other women online and in real life for preferring MLS men. Now, I'm going to remark on that. I don't really have much of an answer because as a man, I don't really know if my answer would be valid, if the way I would deal with that would be valid to even tell a woman, let alone a Western woman. And I say Western because I point out being a Western woman because what I have learned is that in other cultures, women are subject to shame and embarrassment by other women. But when it comes to who they choose, they're allowed to pick and choose individually. Whereas when women in the West have individual tastes, those individual tastes are squashed, stomped on. You don't pick for yourself, girl, you pick for us. Better yet, we pick for you. As you understand with the hive mind, which is one of the reasons why I really get on Western women that don't even call themselves feminists, but just simply follow the crowd and let other women choose their men for them. As you know, you're going through it. They want to be able to pick and choose for you who you get. See, what they want to do, Abby, is they want to shut MLS men out of mating, except compensatory mating. So what sisters want to be able to do is to put us, like most brothers nowadays, but especially MLS men, they want to be able to put us on the back burner, make us a not even a plan B, but a plan C, a 304 retirement plan. And you're screwing that up. They want to be able to practice a dual mating strategy, and you're screwing that up. They want to be able to practice paternity fraud, and you're screwing that up. They want to be able to have us play stepdad, and you're screwing that up. There are categories of men to whom they want to do this, and you've taken one category, MLS men, and you said, nope, I'm not going along with you all on that. So what they realize is that if other women saw it the way you do, and they have no problem with MLS men, or they prefer MLS men, then that's it. We're no longer shut out. So they started with us. They started with really intelligent and really ambiguous men, and about 89 to 90, that's when, as far as I know, that's when they really started. And shutting us out categorically. Abby, one of my first experiences, my second girlfriend actually, truth be told, my first girlfriend in middle school was East Indian, but she lived in a black neighborhood. I really didn't know about the divide between East Indians and black folks at that age. Neither did she. Neither of us knew that our people were really at odds with each other. Her parents lived in a black neighborhood in my hometown. She went to school with none but black folk. There are Indians like that, and that's what a lot of us don't really realize, but there are Indians like that. They're usually not from the North, but that does exist. There are Indians who actually prefer our people. Her family obviously was one of those. She didn't feel any shame or embarrassment that I was a boyfriend. I could find her online right now, actually. I've seen, I know where she lives, what she does, but we're not compatible, obviously. She's Hindu and I'm Muslim. But let me state this though. My second girlfriend is African American. I know where she is too. I mean, she's married, I'm married. Through Facebook, I know where she is. She's in my neighborhood. She grew up in the same neighborhood in which I grew up. But here's the thing, I've stated this before, Abby. This is middle school. She went to school one day in October, I think it was. And you know, the Gulf Coast is not that cold. She went with a turtleneck. And when she changed to go for PE, someone saw a hickey on the neck, and I left it. It was me. I did it. I didn't know later that she was being called a slut because of that, because of a hickey left on the neck. I didn't know that that would lead to that. I was unaware of that. She didn't call everything off because I did something wrong. She called everything off because she was being called a slut. And she didn't tell me. There were guys that, and granted, at that point, you could still be MLS, you just couldn't be ambiguous looking. And if you were, you still had to have some fights. So that was about to change too. But I mean, I was ambiguous looking from jump. And I learned early on, one of the first things I learned was that if I was going to be romantically involved with anyone, I had to keep it really, 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 really private. In my hometown, women didn't want that. Now, when I got to Atlanta, actually when I graduated college, that's when I saw a change. Because you know, them sisters in Atlanta didn't mind keeping side dudes private, but I wasn't willing to be a side dude. I thought about trying it out one time and I realized, you know what? She doesn't want me to have no other girlfriend on the side and I can't reach her. So it's the same as, you know, just always being single. I just stay single. But that's what we learned. And that's I and Selecta J in Trinidad learned these lessons growing up. So when it comes to the shame, the only thing I can say is that right there is part of why it is that you hear me rail against the culture of the Western women. Every woman on an individual level starts off with a clean slate with me. But collectively speaking, I'm well aware of what the F is going on. See, you had to ask what to do about the shame, and I can only answer as a male. But the fact that there is shame being applied to you for preferring MLS men by the same women that want to defend Keke Palmer is why I hate the culture and the collective of the Western, the wicked witches of the West. The Western sister hyenocracy and gynocracy and matriarchy. That's why I hate it. I'm gone. I'm out of there. I'm straight. But ma'am, look what the F that means for brothers that are still there. And then they're being told by Ungawa Dashiki Tunde Johnson to keep it black, stay with the black woman. Don't get with, not just the white woman. I understand why he says that. He's like, no, don't get with no one that ain't black. What the F? So the Cambodian woman that ain't got nothing against black people is off limits? Because as far as he's concerned, there's no such thing as non-black folks that don't have nothing against black people. He ain't traveled enough. And he wants to sit up and tell us this. And a lot of well-meaning brothers fall for it. The only thing I can think to say, and that's why I got to ask for help from other brothers that they can, and other women that might hear me, if they can. As a matter of fact, yeah. Asada Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum, sister. If you can think of something to tell her, please do. Feel free. It's because the only thing I can think of to say is, well, tell them about their whole culture being jacked up, because Keke Palmer is empowerment to them. Cynthia G is empowerment to them. Cardi B is empowerment to them. Meg Thee Stallion is empowerment to them. Why don't they go and try to shame these broads? Why don't they go and try to shame Jada Pinkett Smith? They want to shame you because you believe that MLS men can be handsome and attractive and manly. How dare they? And Keke Palmer's empowered and yeah, you go girl. Yas bitch. That type thing. Janelle Monáe is a role model to them. With a goofy tail. But they want to shame you because you don't believe the stereotypes about MLS men being less masculine. I don't know what else to say about it. I wish I did. I thought about it. I might have even dreamt about it. I woke up, thought about it some more, and nothing comes to mind. And I actually want to help you with that. But now you understand why, yeah, I do hate the collective and I hate that culture, even though I don't start off hating any individual woman, especially just for being black. It's not that. But see, Nobody can come to my wife and shame my wife. What my wife would say is, how about you fit the guck up out my face? He's my husband, not yours. We'll work out our own things. And no, ain't nothing feminine about him. See, in my wife's culture, amongst my wife's people, they don't prefer light-skinned men, but they don't believe that they're less masculine. And so if you get with a lighter-skinned man, you're not getting with a woman. That's the difference. They just don't prefer lighter-skinned men. But what I can tell you too is that, and I wish I didn't have to say this, but what I can tell you is that a lot of this stuff is why a lot of MLS men and a lot of the darkest skinned men are leading in Passport Bros and SYSBMC. Ma'am, dark skinned brothers ain't had it easy either. They have not. No black man coming up in the gynocracies of the Anglophone Americas have had it easy, man. None. Under the gynocrats and the matriarchs were all a bunch of piss-colored softies, or maybe, attractive and dark-skinned, but irresponsible and stupid and controllable. It's not, ma'am. Nobody has it easy. None of us do. And you're seeing that. I hope that what I've said has been a benefit. Thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, blackout. Assalamu alaikum. Black heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it. Black patriarchy till extinction of judgment day. Thanks for flying with me on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jet black with me till the wings and the wheels fall off this mother cuss word. Punch the Cash App button on the way out of the jet black aircraft. Gender, justice, forever.